went and lived in a town called Nazareth. So was fulfilled what was said through the prophets, that he would be called a Nazarene.
Some have wondered why the words, "He shall be called a Nazarene," are nowhere found in the Old Testament, nor is Jesus ever called a Nazarene in the New Testament apart from this verse. For these reasons, Bible critics often include Matthew 2 verse 23 in lists of Bible contradictions or inconsistencies that supposedly disprove the inspiration of the Bible. How could Matthew truthfully write that Jesus' family moved to Nazareth that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophets, "He shall be called a Nazarene"? First, keep in mind that quotation marks were foreign to the Bible writers, as well as all authors of antiquity. Could it be that Matthew did not intend for his readers to understand this statement as a direct quotation from the Old Testament, but rather a more generalized truth? What underlying truth could Matthew possibly have been trying to convey by the statement, "He shall be called a Nazarene"? Before answering this question, consider how the names of cities have occasionally been used to represent a particular idea. From a negative standpoint, a homosexual may be referred to as a sodomite. In the 1st century, the inhabitants of Corinth were so sexually immoral that the verb korinthaizo, to Corinthianize, or act like Corinthians, meant to commit sexual immorality. In regard to Nazareth, the city had a reputation of being rather insignificant. It was in a partially Gentile settled region of Galilee that the Pharisees looked down upon, as is evident by their erroneous assertion that no prophet has arisen out of Galilee.
They replied, "Are you from Galilee too? Look into it, and you will find that a prophet does not come out of Galilee."
Jonah was from Gath-Hepher, in the southern part of Galilee.
He was the one who restored the boundaries of Israel from Lebo-Hamath to the Dead Sea, in accordance with the word of the Lord, the God of Israel, spoken through his servant Jonah, son of Amittai, the prophet from Gath-Hepher.
What's more, recall that when Philip informed Nathanael that he had found the Messiah, Jesus of Nazareth, Nathanael responded, "Can anything good come out of Nazareth?"
Philip found Nathanael and told him, "We have found the one Moses wrote about in the law, and about whom the prophets also wrote, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph." Nazareth? Can anything good come from there? Nathanael asked. "Come and see," said Philip.
To come from Nazareth, therefore, or to be a Nazarene, was the same as to be despised, or to be esteemed of low birth. The fact is, the Old Testament prophets foretold that the Messiah would be a despised root out of dry ground with no form or comeliness.
He grew up before him like a tender shoot, and like a root out of dry ground. He had no beauty or majesty to attract us to him, nothing in his appearance that we should desire him. He was despised and rejected by mankind, a man of suffering and familiar with pain. Like one from whom people hide their faces, he was despised, and we held him in low esteem. But I am a worm and not a man, scorned by everyone, despised by the people. All who see me mock me. They hurl insults, shaking their heads.
Similar to how cities such as Sodom and Corinth have been used to describe a particular activity, Matthew likely assigned the term Nazarene to Jesus to express adequately the prophet's predictions of his lowly, despised origins.
We have found this man to be a troublemaker, stirring up riots among the Jews all over the world. He is a ringleader of the Nazarene sect.
Still, some might wonder why Jesus was never actually called a Nazarene anywhere in the New Testament, outside of Matthew 2 verse 23. The answer is quite simple, though perhaps foreign to many in the 21st century. In Scripture, to be called often meant the same as shall be. When God said that Eve would be called woman, he did not mean that woman would be her name, but that by nature she was a woman. When Matthew quoted the messianic prophecy of Isaiah 7 verse 14 and testified that the people shall call his name Emmanuel, he meant that by nature the son of Mary was Emmanuel, meaning God with us, whereas the literal name he wore was Jesus. Likewise, when Matthew used the word Nazarene one chapter later, he was most likely describing the lowliness of Jesus' life. He made himself of no reputation.
Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness,